people from all over the country and sometimes the world joining us.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
where are you joining us from today, Beth?
I am in my office in Dallas, well, near Dallas, Texas, which is rare and unusual these days.
Yeah.
So it's good to be here. I see lots of friends on. Oh, I see Kathy Petchel on. Look, Kathy, I'm wearing the necklace you bought me. So that's awesome. And that's awesome and fun. But before we get started, Sierra, I want to ask a question because this is something, I am such a systems person. And I love systems, not because I love systems because I'm not good at systems. So I've come to love systems because I need them so much in order to function in work and in business, right? So it's hard for me to sometimes say, I'm going to sit down and learn a technology platform because if I can borrow some pain from my future and realize I'm going to stay stuck where I am if I don't take the time to learn something hard that's going to make my life better.
Yeah.
Because what we usually do is just say, oh, that's hard, I'll do it later. Oh, that's hard, I'll do it later. So this is what I want to know from everyone before we get started. There's two really important platforms that you need in your childcare business. One is a CRM. That's your customer relations management. That manages your leads, like new families looking to come into your school, that you need that CRM to help manage those leads, right? Because I know so many schools right now are struggling with enrollment, especially enrollment in their 4-year-old class, right? So what I'm seeing the schools that are doing well are doing is they're going back to those wait lists of infants and toddlers and twos, and they're trying to really increase their enrollment in those classes because public pre-K has become a really big issue, especially in Texas, and I know in a lot of other states. So one is a CRM, two is a CMS, a customer management. That's like your parent engagement, your billing, all of those kinds of things. So you need a CRM and a CMS. I want to know, so this is your first question for the chat. What are you using for your CRM and what are you using for your CMS? Because this is going to kind of help me guide our talk today to kind of understand, do you understand the kind of language that I'm speaking so you don't get lost? So again, the CRM is what you handle your leads. And the CMS is how you engage and manage. So you got your enroll, and then you're engage and your manage. So yeah, drop those in the chat. That's really, really interesting to see. Okay, I see lots of different things. So this is so good, guys. So good. Okay, I'm glad you're here, Sierra. I just want to give you some props, girl. This is a future bride to be. Her wedding is coming up we're days away, right?
It's like 31 days. Yes.
31 days. You are going to be a missus before we know it.
I know. Crazy.
It is crazy.
Crunch
it is
time.
crazy. Okay, Sierra, are we ready to roll?
We are ready. The floor is yours.
Okay. All right, friends, I'm going to share my screen with you. This is all about those family connections, okay? The family connections. What is the connection between your staff and your family retention? Because this is a really big deal. I want you to understand there is a connection between keeping your staff and between keeping your families. And I'm going to give you 3 things today that are going to help you understand how you can engage your families, connect with your families, and get your staff more connected to those families. Because parents love to know who their caregivers are, right? They love to know, how is my child being cared for? Who's taking care of my child? Who's teaching my child? Am I seeing that consistent face? So this is all about how are we making those connections. And the first thing I want to remind you is what our friend Maya Angelou said. People will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they're never going to forget the way you made them feel. My friends, if you are a childcare owner or leader, your key to success is helping those parents feel seen, heard, and valued, and that their child is safe. That is what they want to know. Can they trust you with their child? And if you make them feel that their child is loved, that they are valued as a family, you are going to win. And so this is about setting some intentionality around how do we win in this game. So parents are looking for high quality experiences for their child. And what does an experience mean to you, right? An experience is not just what's, a one-time thing. Is they are looking for a full experience. They're not looking for a product. They're not looking for a service. They are looking for that experience. So if you've heard me speak, you probably have heard me mention this analogy before. Every business sells a product or a service. You sell a service, and there's different ways to create an experience with that service. And I will ask you, are you Walmart or are you Nordstrom? Are you a stack them deep, sell them cheap, just stuff all that we just get as many kids in as we can and we try to keep them alive and send them home half clean? Or do you bring them in, love them, nurture them, care for them, and create an experience for your family? Because these Gen Z and millennial parents want to know that you have an elevated experience for them. So the 3 things today that I want to talk to you about with where you're going to invest in making those family and staff connections is the 3 T's. So I'm going to give them to you up front, and then we're going to break them down. The first one is the tools of attraction. We're going to talk about your brand, your building, what your aesthetic is like, and then your curriculum. We're going to talk about the technology that you have, and then we're going to talk about the talent that's actually going to deliver your brand. So those are the 3 T's. I want you to remember you're always evolving. So think about your tools of attraction. You may have a beautiful building, but your brand is abundantly more than your building, right? Your brand can only bring, your building can only bring your brand so far. So that's really important when you're looking at your building. I've seen beautiful buildings and absolute chaos and just almost tragedy happening in the back of the building when it's not showtime. And so what's interesting is my company, Stretch and Grow, we go into schools and we do enrichment programs. So we are there when it's not showtime. And so your parents want to be a part of something amazing. And so what I want to encourage you to do, here's your first thing. Pay attention to the tension of what is happening in your building when it is not showtime, meaning that you're not giving a tour, it's not during drop-off time, there's nobody but your team and your children. Pay attention to what is happening, because that is where those connections are being made. And that's when parents are often deciding, is this place for me? Is this place for my child? Sometimes, they're looking at those parent engagement apps. They're watching on the videos. They're paying attention to what's going on. So I want you to pay attention to what's going on inside. So your brand also is abundantly more than your visuals. So this is the truth. This is research and it's the truth, okay? People like to feel like they're bringing their child into an elevated experience. It's the way that they feel when they bring their children to you. So you're on this webinar. So already you're an elevated expert when it comes to leading. You're already an elevated leader. I want you to just take a look at your logos, your fonts, and your colors. Is everything consistent? If someone were to scroll social media and go to your and pass your page, would they know it's your school without knowing whose page they're on? Like if they're just scrolling and your name was completely knocked out, would they know that? And so if not, I want you to really think about what you're putting out there. Like if you are using, Canva or some sort of design platform to create your social media, do you have a consistent logo? Do you have consistent branding? Are you using consistent, no more than 2 to 3 fonts that you use all the time? Are you choosing the same color? So you are putting your brand out there. So that is a tool that you have. Your brand is a tool that you have. And parents often make decisions on how pretty was it when they showed up. Now, how you manage your facility and how you lead your teachers and how you lead your team and the culture that you create, they're going to figure that out once they get inside. But in order to get them to be attracted to you, you want to have nice things. You want to have pretty things. And so these things take zero money. Social media is free. Canva is free. Choosing your colors, choosing your font, choosing your aesthetic, all of that is free. So if you do not have that, I just want to encourage you, look around, set your aesthetic and stick with it, because that is going to help you attract those families. So the next thing that's going to help you attract your families is your brand values, okay? Your brand values. So I want to give you a few examples. First of all, integrity. Do you do what you said you're going to do, and do you honor those commitments? If you want your families and your staff connected, and that's what this is about, that's why you came. Are you consistently a person of integrity? Are you giving the same messages to the same people over and over and over again? And I just want to encourage you this. If you have messed up and you're in a season of messing up, and I see a lot of names on here of friends that I know, and I know you well enough to know that some things have been messed up lately. You've had some teachers that have made some massive mistakes, and that's okay. But oftentimes it's how you handle them, right? How you bounce back from them. So is your integrity aligned? Because you're going to be able to stay connected if your values are there. Also, the quality. Do you operate with the standard of excellence? And is that current, is it evident to your current and your prospective families? I want to remind you, go look at your Google reviews. Look at your reviews. And while we're at it, this is not really about employees, but I want to mention this. Don't just look at your Google reviews or your Yelp reviews. Go take a look at your Indeed and your Glassdoor reviews, because what your teachers are saying about working for you often really matters as well. And so if you're going to be able to attract the right kind of families, you want to take a look at what your reviews are. There's a new study that said, Indeed said it, 45% of people will, it increases their trust if you respond to negative reviews. So I would encourage you, if you've got some negative reviews out there, respond to them, of course, in kind and polite, and make sure that you're working on that reputation management, because that's how they're going to see you as quality. Okay. And then the next thing is consistency. Are your delivery and communications predictable and steady? Okay. Are your questions, is your delivery consistent, predictable, and is it steady? Meaning, are you sending out newsletters regularly? Are you using your parent engagement apps regularly? Now, I want to mention something for multitasking. Come back to me. How many of your teachers complain when you ask them to engage with parents through your parent engagement app? Tell me in the chat. Do your teachers complain when you ask them to engage with parents? Because I do hear some of that chatter. Okay, is it Rainey or Ronnie? Ronnie, you said some do. Yeah, some do and some will. I'm wondering, do some of you guys, do you have that complaint? Because that's going to be part of their job. Most of your teachers are, those children are taking naps. So when they're taking naps, that's your time to be able to do it. If you've got teachers who are co-teachers, some can engage. Rachel, you say, no, our teachers love the app communication with parents. Yes. So Rachel, whatever you have done to get them excited about that, kudos to you, because some will complain. And if yours complain, I just want to remind you, tell them to borrow some pain from their future, because guess what? If the parents know what's been happening at school, they're going to feel satisfied. And when they pick up those children, they're not going to come at you with a million questions, right? They're going to know, oh my gosh, it was a great day today. My child had a great day today. Look what they learned. You're creating those engagement points, those moments of connection throughout the day. So, okay, Jennifer said that they complain that certain educators are not confident in their communication skills. Jennifer, I'm so glad you said that. This is not part of this. This is funny. Like Sierra said, I did this the first time, 2022. We've evolved like a million years since then. Teach them how to use AI, ChatGPT. Most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with that, but this is really important. I, as a leader, use ChatGPT not to create content, but like as an idea generator often. Like I was just in the process, I've been in some strategic planning meetings. And so I'm like, I need a template for, my overall school year broken down. And I asked AI and it, bam, generated all these really great ideas. So encourage your teachers to use AI to come up with what to say. And when you teach them, you're teaching them actually a really, really valuable skill. So if that is a barrier to them communicating, have some sort of, like in your next staff meeting, pull up ChatGPT, give them some prompts to feed it and send it. Another thing I want to tell you is this: if you have teachers who are not confident, because it's, sometimes there's a language barrier, sometimes there's an education barrier, and sometimes it's just not a gift for someone to like put their words out there, right? So teach them, or have someone else in your building give you almost like a swipe file where they can just copy and paste, and teach them how to copy and paste. So if they're not confident in the communication, but the communication piece is important to you, and you know it's important to your parents, figure out a strategy to help bridge that gap. Brenda, you say you tell your teachers they're the first point of contact. We come later as a point of escalation. They're the main partners with the parents on this journey. So good. And when the parents compliment you, it's 99% of the time because the teacher. Preach, Brenda. The teachers are your talent. My friends, you're just the agent, right? You're just the agent to put them in the place. So I love that. I love all that good juju in the comments, guys. That's amazing. And that takes me back to the next slide, which is, what is your staff brand? So that's the process of promoting your organization as a great place to work. And it's required for you to live out your mission. So if your mission, your vision revolves around, you know, creating an amazing space for children in your community to help them grow and thrive and learn, or whatever it is, I'm sure it's something, probably something like that, right? You want to make sure that you're attracting staff that see that. So like, you know, Brenda said, when parents compliment, it's because of the teachers. Are you using those testimonials on your social media? Are you telling the story of what great teachers you have? Because guess what? Excellent people want to be a part of excellent organizations. And if you can tell your story of, hey, we're not only a great place to work, our teachers are amazing and our families love them. Like, we have families who show gratitude and we have families who show appreciation. So keep all that good juju coming. It's so, so, so important. Okay, Ben Chow, you said one of your teachers does not smile most of the time. You remind her, but she still looks cold. That's a hard one. And I think just, you know, winking, smiling, you know, having her laugh, and maybe, is there a reason she's not smiling? Is she unhappy? Or she just, you know, doesn't think about what's happening on her face? A lot of that self-awareness. And so, I mean, this webinar is not about self-awareness for your teachers, but I will tell you, sometimes it's important. And just to say, hey, are you having fun? Are you having fun? Are you enjoying yourself? Are you enjoying yourself? And maybe, you know, if the children can't bring her joy, and maybe she's stressed out, but that's a conversation for a different time. But I would encourage you to have that conversation and remind her that the look on her face often tells a story of what's going on inside her head. And maybe she's sad, maybe she's having some challenges, maybe she's struggling with her mental health. So I think leaning in and listening and helping understand maybe what's happening with that. So, okay, sidebar. Back to the slide deck. Let's talk about number 2, technology. First of all, as you can see, I am no spring chicken. You know, they say, oh, only, you know, technology is only for young people. My friends, I am not young, and I can do this. Software as a service programs like Line Leader are so, so, so user friendly. Not only that, not only are they user friendly, they've got a great support team. And I know, guess what? Because being on their support team was my son's first job out of college. So my son actually works for Line Leader, and he's worked there now for several years, but I know what the service does. I know the expectations of the service department, because guess what? I have seen it lived out in real life. So if technology is a struggle for you and you're thinking, I don't know if I want to get on these platforms, I don't know, I'm not tech savvy, I promise you, don't let that be a hindrance to you, because all of these platforms have great customer service. So I want to remind you this. A survey was done a couple of years back, and they found out that 69% of parents would switch childcare providers if these things. 80% said if they shared videos and pictures. So I don't know if you have cameras. How many of you actually have cameras in your building? This is going to be really interesting for me to know. How many of you actually have cameras in your building? Oh, good. Lots of you guys do. I love that. So here's the thing. I have seen cameras save schools. I've seen cameras save schools. Parents like that. I know that some are like, oh, I don't want people seeing everything that's going on. And that's okay. I mean, wherever you land on that, that's a very personal choice. I know for you, and I'm sure whatever you've chosen, you feel good about that. Just some pros though. 80% of parents would say that they would switch childcare centers if they were getting pictures and videos. And again, that is what a platform like this is about is so that teachers can share pictures and videos in real time of what is happening. So it's there, it's out there, and it's so important to have that. Even if you don't have parent viewing, I want to encourage you to do that. One of my clients hired a teacher who'd been there for 2 weeks, of course, cleared the background check, and she hired this woman who had experience in childcare, and that woman sexually abused a child on camera. And the child was 3 and told her dad when her dad picked her up what had happened. And they were able to go back to the cameras, and sure enough, it had happened. Horrible story, horrific story. But there are things like that that help protect children, and that will hopefully help to protect your school. So things like that can be monitored. Yes, it was very sad and horrible, but things like that are there. And so you just are able to understand the story of what happened. And that's very rare. Obviously, we know that's very rare that would happen, but small things like, a child said a teacher hit him. Well, of course your teacher didn't hit the child, and you can pull up the video and say, all is good in the neighborhood. So keep in mind, 80% of parents would switch for that. Also, parent communication apps, 63% want that. Digital communication, they don't want newsletters. They don't want a bunch of papers junking up their cart. They want contactless check-in. They want contactless payments. And they also would like to have at-home content or activities for them to work through. So that is what parents say they want. So are you doing those things? So when you take a look at technology, like I said in the beginning, when we started, there's 2 really important platforms that deal with parents. I'm not talking about like your Paycor, your payroll, or your Workday, or the MWHR. I'm not talking about those. I am talking about the apps that would be more consumer customer facing, your CRM and your CMS. Now, childcare CRM used to be Line Leader, and childcare CRM was just a CRM, right? Just a customer relations management platform that managed leads, managed the enrollment as the enrollments would come in. Then they got together with another company and had a baby, and that baby came together and became Line Leader. And so now it is an all-in-one unified platform. So with one software, you get the enroll, which is the CRM, and you get the engage, manage, billing, all of those things. So, I see some of you guys did, you had IKS, you had Procure, you had Brightwell, you had Tadpoles. So there's so many different options. So as you're looking forward, can you streamline? And, I always take a look, like we're heading into Q4 right now. So like I mentioned earlier, I've been doing some strategic planning just this week. I literally just came out of that meeting an hour ago. And we're looking at all of our softwares right now, and we're evaluating like what's working, what's not working, what needs to change. Are we still using all the things? Is there anything that we can merge? Is this technology doing something that we used to need, but now we don't need it anymore because this platform does it? We are looking at everything. So I want to encourage you, as you're going into Q4 and you're looking at your expenses, where can you cut costs and simplify your life? So just think about that. So on childcare CRM, the leads come in, you schedule tours, the tours are complete. That's just an example of how that technology is used through a CRM to capture, organize, and optimize your leads. And then as you're looking at the retention piece, how are you communicating with them? How are you engaging with them? So those are the things that you are going to need in your childcare center for technology in order to best communicate with their parents. So that really improves your quality of service to them. You're getting rid of teachers sending home daily notes, miscommunication, things dropped, et cetera. It's also going to increase the speed that you get to communicate with the families as well. So if something happens, if there is an issue, you can communicate with that parent ahead of time. By the time they get to the school that day, they may have settled down, calmed down, had an opportunity to process what was coming. So whether it's positive things or hard news to report, you've got a way to keep your families and to keep your staff happy. I know staff mental health is a really big issue. And I'll tell you, I speak at lots of conferences. And so I have a really cool perspective because I get to see mostly leaders, but this past week I was in New Mexico, saw a lot of teachers, had a chance to talk to some teachers. The things that teachers are exhausted by are hateful parents, hateful and unappreciative parents. And that was kind of a resounding theme a little bit of some things that I hear when I'm doing some team buildings is that the things that stress them out is because most of them are helpers, right? And they show up to help kids and do a great job. And so when they feel criticized or belittled or made to feel less than by parents, it's very hard on their hearts. And so if you've ever had that happen, you know it's really hard to encourage a teacher who's, you know, kind of taking a little bit of verbal vomit from a parent. And I find that when you are more strategic about your communication throughout the day, it really does help to put some of those things like that off. But that's just my personal perspective. Maybe you've had the same. Danielle says the former teacher, parents can be so mean and make your job so much harder. Sister, you are not wrong. You are not wrong, right? And let me remind you this: if that is you, even if you're a teacher, leader, director, your value is never determined on someone else's inability to see your worth. And when it happens, and if it's happening, I want to encourage you. You be the one to encourage your teacher. You be the one to back up your teacher. Like, you should feel confident in being able to back up your team. And so when things like that happen, I want you as a leader to use it as an opportunity to pour and pour and pour into those precious teachers and speak life over them, because the work they do is hard, and they need to hear it. They need to hear how great they are. So just a side note again. All right, let's talk about your follow-up with tours and leads. Childcare Business Coach said that currently only 3% of childcare centers are reporting that they follow up with families after a tour. What? A family comes in for a tour. They are a hot, smoking Texas barbecue hot lead. You want to make sure that you are following up with those leads. If someone comes in for a tour, you want to make sure that you have some way to reach out and let them know that you want them at their school. That, hey, just as a reminder, we do have one space in that classroom. If you want it, it's yours. But if you do, I'd love to talk to you, get a deposit down, follow up with any questions, whatever your follow-up is, and then if they're like, well, we don't know. And then the question, what do you need from us to help you make your decision to put your child here? Okay, here's that question again. What do you need from us to help you make the decision to put your child in our school? And then you just really get that information. But you've got to let them know that you want them there. That's really, really important when you're taking a look at your tours and at your leads, because the connection between the staff and families, that is what is going to keep them coming back and referring them. So it's your job as the leader to hook them and get them in the door. And I want to remind you of this. Do you have a system for that? Do you have a system for your sales and your marketing? Meaning that, is there someone there who gives the tour? Is there someone there that follows up with the tour? Because I believe this: if someone doesn't own it, nobody owns it, right? So if nobody believes that it is their job to do the tours, it's just whoever answers the door. And that might be the cook who has plastic gloves that smell like fish sticks because she's been in the kitchen, and she wants to be polite and answer the door, and a parent just like shows up and needs a tour because the director's off becoming the behavior ninja. You guys know, you're in a childcare center, so you know how it happens, right? So if someone doesn't own it, nobody owns it. So if you don't have anyone that's specifically responsible for the sales, for the enrollment of your school, please make sure that you sit down and come up with a system for that, because it matters so much. Another thing, also near and dear to my heart, is getting your business out of your brain, meaning that your onboarding and orientation need to be as streamlined as possible. One of the key things that I teach is that you switching from manuals, paper manuals, to online modules. Okay. So it's going to consolidate your resources. It's going to give you better training outcomes, and it's going to add so much value to your organization. So I see a lot of familiar names in the chat. How many of you guys have gone through manuals to modules? I want to know, because I know some of you guys have. So if you're listening and you've done manuals to modules, I want you to tell me, because I want to know. It makes me so happy. Manuals to modules, it's a course I have on my website, and it teaches you how to literally break down your whole entire onboarding process, your whole employee manual, and put it into online modules and record webinar style courses, just like we're doing here, to onboard and teach your team. It's so valuable. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Amanda, yay. Tammy, yay. Becca, have still working on getting transferred. That's okay, Becca. It's a work in project. Yes, we do. Done the best change ever. Ah, that makes me so happy. So it's so important because you don't want that repetitive, you having to, depending on your brain, to have to teach someone every single thing every time you onboard someone. So take the benefits of online training. 92% of employees said that having the training with technology has helped them to learn. 60% say that their team is spending less time, and 42% of companies said they saw an increase in revenue. And I can tell you that has been the case in mine. You know why? Because instead of being bogged down by having adult story time and going over the rules, they can go over all those key components that they need to learn through an online interactive, engaging, digitally rich platform. And then I can focus on growing the business, focusing on sales, focusing on adding children and families while all of that is going on. So you're losing money and opportunity by taking your time to do manual orientation. Now, do you still connect with them and have a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding and mentor teachers and all the things? Of course you do. I'm not saying just give them a few videos to watch and stick them in the toddler classroom. I mean, take the precious time that you get to connect and truly connect, not just go over the rules. So I'm just super passionate about that. So I've got a download on my website. So you can either scan that code right there, or you can go to bethcannonspeaks.com/M2M checklist. And Molly, if you could grab that, Molly, and drop it in the chat, that may help. I know Sierra has it, and I'm sure it's going to be sent out with the recording and the replay. That's the word I'm looking for. So, but that's just a free guide that like takes you step by step how to do that. So that's what that is. So there's a big difference in orientation and onboarding, and the technology that you use is really going to help your team learn. As I mentioned earlier, I had a son that graduated from college not long ago, and the last 2 years of college, which were during COVID, he had 0 textbooks, 0. The people that you are hiring did not have textbooks, right? And so when you hand them a big, as we would say in the 80s, trapper keeper, right? They just get lost in it. So your orientation is just a one-time event. Your onboarding is a series of events that include your orientation that really helps your employees understand how to be successful. So when I ask you, what do you want the result of your onboarding to be? What is it? So thank you, Molly. So tell me in the chat, what is it? What do you want the result of your onboarding to be? For me, we've just gone through each of the, core components of our business, and we've walked through every single step to say, okay, these tasks that we're doing, what's the result? Like when we're doing one-on-ones with our teachers, because some of my directors get tired by that, right? They're like, one-on-ones are a lot. Well, what's the result? We want retention for our teachers. We want to create an experience to where our teachers feel seen, heard, and valued. And so if you want retention, that's why you do a system. Let's talk about your tour leads, right? If you want and need more children in your childcare center, it's being intentional about managing those leads. And if you've got leads coming in, there's no way you can probably manage that manually, right? So if you've got, when you're looking at your onboarding, if you're allowing technology to help do some of the repetitive work and put things in a system, it's not really dependent on you. But here's another thing that we know. Statistics say that 50% of new hires leave companies with 18 months. I'm going to tell you something that is like shocking. It's going to give you some like statistical tea. So again, if you're multitasking, come back. New study by the Gartner Institute just said, I don't even have a slide for it. Okay, so this is just me talking. 50% of hourly workers are not showing up to jobs for which they accepted a position. 50%. So has anyone lately offered someone a job and they don't show up on the first day? Or they show up and they ghost you after a day or two? Or they ghost the interview? Who's getting ghosted? Like just ghost emoji in the chat. Do you guys know how to do a ghost emoji? I'm going to tell you. If you have a PC, hold down the Windows button and the period, and the emoji menu will pop up. And I think if it's a Mac, you hold down Command and period. And if you do that, see, Sarhana, you have it. You've got it, right? Catherine, way to go. So hold it down. And then you got your emoji menu, and then you can, type in search ghost, and then bam, you have it. And if you never knew that, then that is what you came for today, is to learn how to put emojis on your computer. And it makes you so happy. Look, some of you guys are like, oh, you guys have figured it out. Yes, there come the ghost emojis. Some of you guys have been ghosted a lot. Anita, you've been ghosted a lot. That's okay, friend. We've all been ghosted a lot, but it's good to know that maybe it's not you. That's just humanity. And that's what's happening right now. So guess what? You get to be the one to hook them and make them want to stay with you, because the reason that's happening is because they are accepting other jobs. And so if an employee wants to make, let's say, $15 an hour, they're looking at who's going to pay me $15 an hour and who won in the interview, who made me feel good about this job. Was it you? Was it Amazon? Was it Walmart? What was it? So then once you get them in, you want to make sure that they stay. So look at your current onboarding situation. When did you last update your manual? What about your onboarding process is not working? Like, where are they falling out of your funnel? Do you have any limiting mindsets around technology? Because that's what this is about today, right? Those connections. And then what are your new hires missing, right? What's something that's missing? So, and that leads me to the third piece, guys. We're on the home stretch. We're almost done today. Your third section is this: talent. I want to remind you, you're the agent. They are the talent. You are the agent. They are the talent. Oh, good, Amy. I'm so glad. So I want you to look at the staff that you have, and I want you to understand who your staff is, and the way they handle their teachers are either causing you to have a high quality experience or low quality experience. And here are the variable. Number one, it's processes, right? Human interaction and the child's subjective experiences. That's the variable that parents are looking at. What the structural variable is objective conditions like the floor space, the group size, the child to teacher ratio, the teacher training. Good structure facilitates good processes. Good processes facilitate high quality care, which in turn is going to help with a positive child outcome. So there's two different variables that are at play when it's determining, do you have high quality care or low quality care? So, and guess what? 100% of your service is delivered through those teachers' hands. I've been to some beautiful buildings that I wouldn't drop my dog off to. Then that's the truth. I want you to take a look at, are you offering high quality? And you could have an average building. You could have a building that needs some updating, but what matters is, did the human interaction, did the talent of your teachers connect those families? And that's going to help with your retention. So the most notable structural variables are, you ready for it? Caregiver stability. So have you taken a look at your turnover? And if you have, and if it's high, why? Why is it so high? I mean, people leave jobs for any number of reasons, but I want you to really maybe take a look at your last few teachers who have left and wonder, like, okay, why did this one leave? Could you not keep them happy? What was it about it? Were they just not a good fit and you're glad they're gone? That's most of the time that's the case. But turnover rates are up 30%. I think that I don't think that's worded correctly. They're up an additional 30. They have been up an additional 30% since COVID is what that means. Older married staff are less likely to leave than younger single staff, and caregivers who like their boss are less likely to leave, and staff turnover creates instability and sometimes even harm in children. And you guys know that. That's not anything new to you. It's just interesting to see. So again, I want to ask you, do the daily interactions between you, your team, your parents, and your children reflect the experience that you want to deliver? So here's my question. I'm not going to ask you to put it in the chat because this is personal. This is personal. Where are you not winning at school right now? In your building or buildings. I know some of you guys on here are multi-site. Where are you not winning? I'm going to tell you where I'm not winning in my business. And again, I don't own a childcare center. Stretch and Grow or enrichment program. So we go into centers. But we have a team of about 50 called entertaining educators. So they go into the schools and do fitness, sports, gymnastics, music, yoga, dance. That's what we do. So when I am looking at my org structure and I'm looking at my leadership, sometimes I'm delegating things and the things I'm delegating are not getting done, even though we have really, really great systems and people are human, right? So we're doing a deep dive into, hey, why did these things not get done? Did I not communicate it well? Did they not understand the priority? Did they forget? Did they not understand the job? Did they not want to do it? So that's kind of a current pain point for me right now. So that makes me go back and refine. Another thing, enrollment is low in our 4-year-old programs. We usually, when our 4-year-old children go to kindergarten, we can replace those children within a month, right? Because the 2-year-olds come up. We are struggling and our enrollment's down like 30%, and it hasn't been in a really long time. And it's down because a lot of the 4-year-old children aren't there. So what are we having to do? We're having to go back and say, hey, let's take a look at our infant toddler curriculum. We offer that at some schools. Now, what we need to do is come up with a strategy to focus on really strong curriculum for infants and toddlers in the areas of movement. Okay, some of you guys say, okay, let's see, Tia, you said consistency with teachers and classroom management. Thank you for sharing, because that's hard, right? Children's behaviors have gotten even more challenging, and the teacher's capacity to continue to, redirect has been hard. And, we need to partner with those parents. Like, we need to have some sort of agreement with the parents, especially for the children who can be mindful, like the older 3s and 4s. They can be mindful. The parents can talk to them. I mean, yes, we can redirect all day long, and positive guidance and conscious discipline and all of those things. And those are all great theories and they all work. But I have been in classrooms to where there is no strategy. It's just back up and keep the child safe while they're spiraling out, and then help them calm down and bring them back. That is very stressful on teachers, and that is very stressful on students as well. Yep, many children with behavior issues. Okay, Lauren, same problem with 4-year-olds. Other rings are busting at the seams, and we lose our 4-year-olds to the free preschools. Lauren, my friend, you are not alone. You are not alone. And I don't know what state you're in, Lauren. I just was at the Texas State Conference. New Mexico is killing it with subsidy and with some support for childcare, and they are using their state income tax. Texas does not have state income tax, so as a business owner, that makes me happy. But there's not a lot of state money, and we have a very broken public pre-K system. We don't have a mixed delivery system yet, so depending on where you live, that could be a challenge. But like Lauren, I want to encourage you, take a look back at the space that you have. Maybe did you have 2 pre-K rooms, and you can convert one of those into a 2-year-old room, right? So we've got to be creative, and we've got to take a look at what's happening. What's happening in our industry, what's happening in the world right now, and really pay attention to how can we shift and change so that we can adapt to the current situation. Because we can sit around and cry about it, or we can do something about it. And it's nice when people come to save us, but for the most part, we've got to be able and willing to save yourself. Chris, we say New Mexico is the best. They really are. I mean, I listened to their cabinet secretary on early education this couple of weeks ago, and man, you guys are really killing it there. So kudos to you. So what's your secret sauce, right? What is your secret sauce? When you are selling and you are creating this experience for your families, what is your secret sauce? What makes you great? What are the unique differentiators about your business that helps you become amazing? So tell me in the chat, what is your secret sauce? Okay, Rolly, you say it's your teachers. Okay, Tori, you said, yes, we had enrollment issues. We doubled down on our line leader use and consistency, and it paid off big time. Tori, okay, Sierra, Molly, you guys need to go grab that testimonial. That's pretty awesome. So so when you had enrollment issues, you doubled down on it, and that is what you do. You double down on what you know to do, and you have to believe that there are children and families that are coming, but what are they coming into? Yeah, so Spanish immersion, your teachers, so many things. So know what your secret sauce is, right? Know it, live it, believe it, and keep speaking the language of how great and amazing you are, because your secret sauce is actually your employer brand. And I mentioned that a little bit earlier. So your talent attraction strategy, meaning your recruiting strategy, you're attracting talent. Remember, you're the agent, they're the talent, should be display exactly who you are as an employer to the kind of talent that you want to attract. So look around, look at your 18 players. Who are those 18 players who are, and here's the thing, doing a great job connecting your families with your school? That's what this webinar is about. The magic of family and staff connections. Look at your teachers who are doing a great job with that. Find out what they're doing, find out the heart behind it, and you want to continue to do that over and over and over again. And the teachers who are engaging and the teachers who are excited about it, those are your 18 rock stars. That is who you want to attract, and that is who you want to hire. Oh, I love the way I love all the things you guys are saying about your schools. That is amazing. So know what your employer brand is and be really specific about it. So shortly, I think Molly is going to pop back on. Molly, are you around? And she's going to give you some information about Line Leader and all the great things that Line Leader can do. But I just want to remind you guys, come find me on social media. I know lots of us are already friends on social media, but come find me. Hope you downloaded that list and let me know if I can help. But Molly, this is what I know. You guys have a great platform, unified. So one software can do all the things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay,
thank
so I
you.
know you're going to get some information about that.
Yes, I
Yes,
first just
okay.
wanted to say a big thank you to you for being here. I learned so much. We kind of went rapid fire, high energy, loved it. You know,
Molly, that's how I roll.
that's how we roll. We love it. That
How we
hour
roll.
just flew by. I didn't mean to cut you off. If you have a
No,
couple
no worries. No worries.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much, Beth. You spoke a lot about the importance of your branding and how staff impacts that and the importance of following up with leads after a tour is completed. And I think I just needed to highlight that stat that you shared with us because that just blew me away when you shared that of almost 70% of parents who said that they would switch childcare providers if they found another center that offered videos and pictures, that was 80%, and 63% for both parent communication app and digital documentation. So that's huge. So really looking back at your systems in place and making sure that you are providing your families, ultimately your customers, what they want. So over at Line Leader, we're here to help you if you're interested. If you don't currently have a system in place for following up with leads, or if you have too many systems that aren't speaking to one another, we're here to help you run your business better so you can scale your business and grow. So we're here to help you. So thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time out of your day. We will be in touch via email. We'll share Beth's workbook, her website, as well as the recording and a certificate of attendance. So thank you all so much for being here.
They even get a certificate of attendance.
We're on it. We are on it.
All right, that is on
our
it.
little, our way of thanking you.
You bet. Bye, guys. Everyone have a great day.
Have a great day. Thank you, Beth.
You bet.